Hi, let me share with you this spiritual nugget about Paul. If you read the book of 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 12, it says, "For this reason I also suffer these things. Nevertheless, I'm not ashamed, for I know whom I have believed, and I'm persuaded that he is able to keep what I've committed to him until that day." You know, Paul was not physically impressive, but he was intellectually impressive. He was short, stooped, bow-legged, and also had an impaired vision. But in spite of all that, he was a soldier of Christ par excellence. He was a man who shook the courts of Rome and the synagogues of Israel, and everyone knew that Christ was the Redeemer of Israel. Paul stayed in the prisons of Rome, the muddy, stinking prisons of Rome, with no friend to talk to and with no one to take care. And yet he had courage to say, "I'm not ashamed, for I know whom I've believed, and I'm persuaded that he is able to keep what I've committed to him until that day." Paul was a man of many sufferings. He was a man who was always exposed to danger. If you read the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 26, he says, "I've traveled on many long journeys. I've faced danger from rivers and from robbers. I've faced danger from my own people, the Jews, as well as from the Gentiles. I've faced danger in the cities, in the deserts, and on the seas. And I've faced danger from men who claim to be believers but are not." Paul was a man of many sufferings. But what made Paul to endure all these sufferings? It was the knowledge of him in whom he had believed. Maybe let me pose this question. Do you know him? You know, this question doesn't need a verbal response, but it's only your walk with him that can give the response. And I'm asking this question because very soon conditions are going to get tough, and the systems of this world are going to test your knowledge of him. You know, one of the champions of the Reformation, Martin Luther, he echoed the words of Paul when he said, "I've held many things in my hands, and I've lost them all. But whatever I've placed in God's hand, that I still possess." You know, Christ has never lost anything that has been faithfully committed into his hands. His hands are capable. His hands are faithful. Therefore, you can commit your life to him. He's faithful to keep it until that day. You can commit your family to him. He's faithful to keep it until that day. You can commit your marriage to him. You can commit your time to him, for he is faithful and capable to keep it until that day. Don't waste time and commit your resources into the porous hands of this world, into the cisterns that never holds water, but commit your resources, commit your life, commit your everything to him, for he is able, he is faithful to keep it until that day.